Good evening, everybody. My name's Andy Foster, and I'm going to whisk you away for the next 20 minutes to southeast Brazil. Okay, I've been lucky enough to live in Brazil for the last 20 years, and been leading the. Just pop that up there. There we go. I'm just going to pop that there. And been leading the Best of Brazil's Atlantic Rainforest tour for Naturetrek for the last 19 years. So where do we go in Brazil? We go to southeast Brazil. Okay, the photo there on the left-hand side is of Brazil itself. You can see the Amazon in the light green there. But we're going to concentrate on the right-hand side of that slide there in the Atlantic Rainforest. Okay, we're going to be based just in Rio, this area here. The Atlantic Rainforest runs down the whole eastern side of Brazil's coast there. If you pop over to this map here, you're going to fly into Rio. Okay, the kind of tour logistics, we fly into Rio de Janeiro, and then we take about a 3-hour drive up to our first destination, which is the Itororo Lodge here. That's where we spend the first 5 nights of the tour, and then we head over to the Guapiaçu Lodge for the last 2 nights of the tour there. So I want to speak to you a little bit about species diversity in the Atlantic Rainforest. In Brazil itself, there's just over 1,800 species of bird, and in the Atlantic Rainforest, just under 900 species, of which 180 are endemics. It's obviously not just all about birds this trip. There's also 298 mammal species within the Atlantic Rainforest, 20,000 plant species, 2,000 vertebrate species, 475 amphibian species, and also plenty of reptiles, as you can see there, and with a very high number of endemics. This bird here on the right-hand side was taken in the Itororo Lodge grounds. It's a variegated antpitter. And we're going to spend basically our whole time within the Três Picos State Park, okay, within the state of Rio de Janeiro. This is a park that's just about 20 years old and covers 65,000 hectares. It's within the districts of Teresópolis, Guapimirim, Silva Jardim, Nova Friburgo, and Cachoeiras de Macacu. Bit of a mouthful, that last one. And yeah, we're basically going to spend our time in those 2 last areas there of Nova Friburgo and Cachoeiras. So where do we stay? 2 wonderful lodges for this tour. On the left-hand side there, you can see Itororo Lodge, where we spend the first 5 nights of the tour. Beautiful lodge, incredibly well looked after there, lovely and rustic, but always nice hot showers, great home cooked food, and always a wonderful reception by the owners there. And then we move on to our last 2 nights at the Regua Lodge. This is down in the lowlands. Again, wonderful lodge, very comfortable, all ensuite rooms, and again, very, very well looked after at this lodge. So I'm going to basically talk you through the tour now. First 5 nights at Itororo. Here we bird at an altitude of 900 to 2,300 meters, and we spend our time in the kind of mid to montane forest there. This photo was taken on our last tour in just beginning of this month, in beginning of February, and this is on the Maca de Cima excursion. You can see pristine rainforest as far as the eye can see there. And then at the Regua Lodge, we concentrate on lowland forest birding, and obviously the wetlands there as well. So here we'll be birding at an altitude of 30 to around about 750 meters. Both beautiful sights, absolutely stunning. So the accommodation at our first lodge, you can see there on the left, very, very comfortable ensuite rooms. And then the tiny little cozy lodge where we spend our 5 nights there, a little dining area, nice little bar, and sit around the tables and complete our bird checklist every evening. It's a very, very nice atmosphere. You can see there on the left-hand picture, this is a view from one of the rooms at the top above the main lodge, and you can see the decking area down in the bottom of the photo there, and one of the rivers within the lodge grounds. So birding at the lodge, again on the left there, you can see the kind of main infrastructure of the lodge, and see how close that deck is just there on the left, with all the feeders. And in the right-hand photo, you can see one of the last Naturetrek groups there on the deck there, looking at the feeders, probably watching some beautiful grassy-breasted tanagers or blonde-crested woodpecker. So birding within the lodge grounds. 200 plus species. It's a 50 acres of grounds that the lodge is surrounded by, and then obviously continue forest from there. Common birds on the feeder there, maroon-bellied parakeet on the left, and not so common, but also a good chance of seeing the beautiful saffron toucanet there. Blondie, as the bird becomes known over the tour, long-crested woodpecker. You can see this is taken just to the right of one of the feeding trays there. The lodge is actually very well set up for photography. Lots of nice branches above all of the feeders and stuff. So as the birds come to land before going onto the feeding tray itself, you get a good opportunity to get some great shots of the birds that are coming in. Plain parakeet there in the morning sun, just waiting down to drop and have a fresh banana for breakfast. And then magpie tanager there. This is quite a widespread bird. As I said, a lot of the birds here are endemic. This is a rather widespread one, but such a beautiful bird, I wanted to include it. Spot-billed toucanet. This is a stunner. They will come to the feed. It's not quite so common, but within the lodge grounds, you stand a good chance of seeing these. This is a nice male spot-billed toucanet there. One of the 5 Tangara species of tanagers again on the lodge feeders. This is a gilt-edged tanager. Stunning bird, very colourful, iridescent, beautiful bird. And then not quite so colourful, but the mouse-coloured tapaculo. A little bit of a skulker. This was taken on our last tour. Might not win any prizes for colour, but it certainly wins a prize for some of the longest toes. So a little skulker there. Black-cheeked gnat-eater just on the edge of its range, but again can be seen well within the lodge grounds. And again, saffron toucanet, couldn't resist but include this one, taken just up to the left-hand side of the deck of the lodge there. So hummingbirds, plenty of hummingbirds within the lodge grounds. These were taken, the white-throated hummingbird there on the left-hand side, taken just in the lodge grounds there, just in front of the lodge. And the green crown plover crest, which can be seen at higher altitude. Violet cap wood nymph, and showing all its iridescence there, and a Brazilian ruby. Again, common on the lodge feeders, so good chances of seeing these beautiful birds every day. So the trails within the lodge grounds, we do spend a day and a half birding there. Such beautiful forest. You can see plenty of bromeliads, tree ferns, native bamboo, all supporting a wonderful variety of birds. So some of the birds we can see within the lodge grounds, some of the antbirds here, fairly skulky little guys, but we do manage to get them out, to get good views of them. There's a Bertoni's antbird there and an ochre rump, both Drimophila antbirds. Can be a little bit tricky to see, but with a bit of perseverance, we get there in the end. And then on to the slightly larger ant shrikes there, white-bearded ant shrike, and picture doesn't really do the giant ant shrike justice there. It's much bigger, real chunky beast. I've seen these guys taking frogs and young birds from nests. Quite savage, quite a savage bird, really. Beautiful bird though. Onto wood creepers, foliage gleaners. The black-billed scythebill there on the right is always a bit of a star bird. Just to watch this bird feed is absolutely amazing. Just in and out of kind of crevices and bits of bamboo with its long bill, taking out spiders, etc. Really, yeah, pretty amazing sight. And on to the manakins and cotingas, always 2 very popular families, high on people's wish lists. Pintail manakin there, fairly common in the lodge grounds. You get them lekking in the summer months, 2 or 3 birds doing their little dance, clicking their wings. And the black and gold cotinga there on the right, high altitude endemic, found up at a place I'm going to mention in a minute. So excursions away from the lodge. Like I say, we're based at the lodge for 5 nights, the first lodge. Due to the elevational differences in the Atlantic forest, going from 30 meters in altitude all the way up to 2,300 meters, we go out on day trips to be able to cover all these elevations. Basically, every 200 to 400 meters you climb or drop in altitude, you get a whole different suite of birds. So we take several day trips out. We'll start at the top of the mountains. This is Pico da Caledonia. You can see in the left-hand picture there, Nova Friburgo down in the bottom of the valley. a town with 250,000 inhabitants there. And on the picture on the right there, right on top of the world, really. This is where we go for a lot of the high altitude endemics. Beautiful day out there. This was absolutely stunning views. You can see Rio in the distance. Yeah, quite an amazing place. So as I mentioned, the high altitude endemics. Itachi thistletail there, sorry. Tough bird to see right at the top, real effort, but it's yeah, it really is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, that one. And then the very rare, super range restricted grey-winged Cotinga. These two birds we actually discovered ourselves up on this peak. For the grey-winged Cotinga, it was only the second known site in the world, and for the thistletail, the third. So that was yeah, very happy to find those birds up there. Another two birds of high altitude, large-tailed antshrike, and the stunning diadem tanager there. Red-chested warbling finch. These guys move through in little mixed flocks with brassy-breasted tanagers. And then another Dromophila type antbirds, same family as the ochre rumps and the batonis earlier, the rufous-tailed. Again, lives just in tiny little clumps of bamboo. Bit of an effort to see, but always worth the effort. So move on to a little bit of open country birding. This is this area is Sumidoro and Deutsche Bahas. In the past, this all would have been primary rainforest, so it's a little bit of a sad shot. But thankfully now all the habitat is protected. But there are these big areas of open farmland now. But a lot of the birds from the next state of Minas Gerais have moved down into here, so we do get a day's open country birding. Much easier than the forest birding. Nice to have a bit of great photographic opportunities. As you can see by this lesser yellow-headed vulture here. So as I mentioned, the town of Deutsche Bahas there, nice little town square with the church. We often do this trip on a Sunday because there's less traffic through the main town, and it's nice. We stop for coffee in the town square, some cake, and it's nice to see the Brazilians going around their daily lives with the church service often going there. So into the open country birding, burrowing owl, Toko toucan there on the right. All nice, great photographic opportunities on this day trip. Got the streamer-tailed tyrant, black-necked aracari, and one of our main target birds again, one of the rarest birds you'll hopefully see on the trip is the three-toed jacamar. Population of this bird stands between 2,000 and 5,000 individuals. That's all, just in a very limited area. Full day birding then in the forest at Maca de Cima. This is a stunning trail through primary forest. You can see there on the right, thick stands of bamboo, tree ferns, absolutely incredible days birding. We're after some of these specialities, Atlantic forest specialities, such as the slaty bristlefront there, and another Cotinga species, the hooded berry eater. Black hawk eagle, raptors, plenty of good raptors on this day, mantle fork, black and white hawk eagle as well. And also a few skulkers, because wouldn't be forest birding without a few skulkers. So we'll try for these white-bibbed antbirds as well. Trogons, two species of trogon on this tour, black-throated trogon there, and the ochre-faced toady flycatcher. And night birding at the lodge. Night birding is a little bit tough in the Atlantic forest. Can be challenging, but we give it a go. We don't give up. So yeah, often lucky with rusty barred owl and the beautiful long-trained nightjar. Common Poturan chick there. This was taken on the last tour, and on actually the very last day of the tour, the bird flew from its stump, the young bird, and yeah, it was great to have watched this little thing grow over the course of a month whilst I was there. A little bit of conservation at Itororo Lodge that I wanted to share with you. This is the original lodge back in the 1960s, and due to all the hard work by the owners, they've actually with reforestation and a good bit of management turned it into this wonderful area now. So you can see some 60 odd years later, the change all the hard work has made. So onwards to our second site, to the Reserva Ecologica de Guapiaçu, also known as Regua. This is down in the lowlands, where we're going to spend the last 2 nights. Nice channel blue toucan there. This was taken just outside the lodge. You can see the accommodation at Regua is incredibly comfortable. Being down in the lowlands, obviously we need air conditioning. You can see the air conditioning unit there in the room, and a nice dining area and lounge where we can relax at the end of a good day's birding. This is a view from the lodge, or both views from the lodge. We've got a nice tower on the left there that overlooks the wetland area, and also a view up into the distant peaks there at around about 2,200 meters. I wanted to touch a little bit on wetland restoration. It's a project I started with some friends back in 1998. The dream was to basically reflood these pastures. So you can see 2002 there, just pastures. The Regua lodge is just up on the distant hill there. On the left, you can just see there, and then basically bulldoze all the land, put in some dams. So you can see 2005 just starting to flood, 2006 filling up nicely, in 2008 you can see all the reeds, etc., starting to grow. And this was on the tour in February, so you can see the difference all the hard work has made there. So birding at Regua, capped heron there, predominantly wetland birding for a day or two, and also some of the lowland forest birding as well to get some of the lowland endemics. See the whistling herons, ringed kingfisher, both fairly common. Boat-billed herons there tucked away, and the white-headed marsh tyrants. Getting just into the forest edge here, nice rufous-tailed jacamar, chestnut-backed antshrike. Worth mentioning, all these photos were taken on Naturetrek tours, so you can see the kind of photographic opportunities you get. Speciality for Regua there on the left-hand side, the elegant mourner. This is a bird that breeds at an altitude of about 1,000 meters, and then comes down to overwinter at Regua. So this is always an important target for us, together with the scaled ant bird there. Always a stunner, the frilled coquette, grey-hooded attila, and redneck tanager there. This is another Tangara type tanager. Absolutely stunning. We also see the green-headed as well, brassy breasted, and a white-bearded mannequin there on the right. Plenty of raptors, savannah hawk, beautiful bird there, and little white-barred picolet poking its head out from behind the tree. And night birding at Regua. We always go for the giant snipe. This is always a bit of a highlight of the tour. It's a bit of an effort to find it, but when you do and you get such a stunning view of it like that, it's super rewarding. Always a good little evening's excursion. And the black-banded owl, again, tricky bird, but we always give it a good go. Mottled owl there, having its evening meal, and tropical screech owl. And obviously these tours are not just about birds. We stop and try and see everything else along the way. Mammals are quite tough. There's been, unfortunately, been a lot of hunting in the Atlantic forest over the years. But thankfully, due to a lot of conservation work and protection that a lot of these kind of private reserves are working on now, we're seeing mammals starting to come back down out of the kind of furthest reaches of the valleys. So we've got good chances of brown-throated three-toed sloth there, bit of a mouthful, orange-spined hairy dwarf porcupine, capybara at the wetlands, little white tufted ear marmosets. You can see these on the Regua lodge feeders, and the buffy tufted ear marmosets up at Itororo lodge as well. Broad-snouted caimans, one of the reasons for restoring the wetlands. So they're quite nice, quite easy to see, grow up to about 5 feet in length. Obviously snakes as well, reptiles, nice tropical rat snake there. If you do not like spiders, you need to be looking away for this next one. There's a nice rhinoceros beetle there and a tarantula seen on the Macadisima Road. Okay, for non-spider lovers, that one's gone. Butterflies, moths. Regua has its own moth wall, which is fantastic. We just put the light on at night and see hundreds of different species there the following morning. That's a nice little thing to do first thing in the morning. And a little bit about conservation at Regua. It's a big conservation project. A lot of reforestation. To date, they've planted over 750,000 native trees. They work a lot on land purchase, management agreements with neighbours to make the reserve bigger. They have a young rangers program, which is fantastic, introducing young people into the forest and basically teaching them about the protection, and a lot of research projects as well with the local universities, etc. So by coming on this tour, visiting Southeast Brazil with Naturetrek, you are helping to obviously conservation as well at the 2 lodges where we stay. So that's a very very worthwhile thing to be doing. If you are interested, future tour dates, we do have another one this year in November, and also 2024 in January and November. So hopefully one day we'll see some of you out in Southeast Brazil. Okay, thank you very much.